What's up, guys? It's your boy Ruben coming to you. New week, new video. Definitely got to talk about free agency. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the Cowboys, and let's just dive right into it because I don't want to make this too long a video, which it probably will, but let's just dive right in. So, Cowboys. They're going in the opposite direction of the Jaguars, and again, I'll touch on the Jaguars later. Cowboys first. Cowboys today have cut La'el Collins. Right now, where this is concerning and the offseason in general is concerning is the Cowboys have kind of stood pat, and if anything, they're losing players. I'm not sure what the plan is yet, but I will say this: if history is any indication, we've always been a team that we don't dip into the first wave of free agency. Remember last year they had gotten Deron Harmon, Malik Hooker, but these were guys later in free agency, second wave. The first wave is usually reserved for teams like the Jaguars to go ahead and go out there overspend for all these top names. Now, where this year's a little bit different, we knew when Dak signed his contract, Zeke signed his contract, Amari signed his contract, and then we got DeMarcus Lawrence signing his contract that eventually this day was going to come where we're going to have to make tough decisions. And the tough decisions were made. La'el Collins saves us $10 million against the cap this year. They deemed Terrence Steele the replacement, and he played absolutely great in the absence of La'el Collins. But where that's concerning is the lack of depth. We had a lot of injuries in the offensive line. It's been an issue of recent. Connor Williams, we could have kicked him out of there, but he's still another body you got to replace. The center play hasn't been great. Terrence Steele is great, but who's behind him? Tyron Smith misses time. And eventually it's going to be time to think about starting to replenish the pool of offensive linemen that we have because they're getting up there in age. They're no longer the dominant offensive line that we remember, but I think if healthy, they're good enough to, stick it out. But we're going to need to dodge the injury bullet, which is something we haven't been able to do for years now. So, with that being said, Amari Cooper was also lost. I knew that was going to be the domino to fall. He had a $20 million cap hit. Cedric Wilson emerged. We drafted CeeDee Lamb. So, the writing was kind of on the wall for Amari Cooper, and it was kind of a no-brainer considering how he looked last year. I am a firm believer in Amari Cooper, but I also know that his weakness is he'll get in his head and he'll check out. So, that looks to be what happened last year. And we had too many receivers on the roster to really worry about that. We re-up Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. We expect him to step up. But what does hurt is we ended up losing Cedric Wilson to the Miami Dolphins. I didn't anticipate that. But this draft is flush with wide receivers, so I'm not going to be too worried about it because really we're looking for a third guy. CeeDee Lamb can play, and it doesn't even matter who the third guy is. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I just mean like the type of receiver he is. He could be an X receiver, and CeeDee Lamb works the best in the slot, or we can put CeeDee Lamb at the X and get a slot receiver. We just need a third guy. Michael Gallup, we don't even know if he's going to be ready come the start of the season, so we'll see. All right. Randy Gregory. That's the other one that hurts. Okay. Randy Gregory hurts because if you guys recall, we gave this guy chance after chance. He fell to the second round, was thought of as a first round, top 10 even talent in that particular draft. And we took a chance on him, drafted him in the second round when everybody turned their back on him. When everybody was right and the kid kept getting suspended, we didn't cut him. We didn't let him go. We stuck it out. And now at age 29, now that he's 29, he finally has a semi-decent year. We reward him with a contract and he spurns us because we had language in the contract that states that he can have his guarantees voided due to suspension or fines. Now, on one hand, I get if you're the player, you can balk at that, but I kind of feel like, why don't you just negotiate it? Because it's not unheard of. It's not as unheard of as people are trying to make it out to be. If you recall, Roquan Smith didn't sign his rookie deal for quite some time because of the similar language. Leonard Fournette, if you're a Jag fan, you recall Tom Coughlin was trying to avoid guarantees in his contract due to the same thing, conduct detrimental to the team. That was something that could have been negotiated. For him to take the same deal just to go to Denver, it just really rakes my nerves, and it's gonna hurt, especially because we missed out on Von Miller, Zadarius Smith, and Chandler Jones. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but let's see what happens in the second wave of free agency. I don't know what their plans are for the draft. This draft has some pass rushers that might fall to the second round. This draft is also loaded with wide receivers, so we'll see how we supplement. But we also could use another corner. Is Rasul Douglas in play? Somebody like that. We didn't see enough of Kelvin Joseph last year. Anthony Brown, I like him, but I don't like him as my starting number 2 on the other side of Trayvon Diggs. That, he does just fine until we end up playing the big names, and I just don't like him as our number 2. I need him to be a number 3. So we'll see what happens second. Wave of free agency. Maybe a Tyrann Mathieu can come. I'm not sure we're going to get the pass rush from. I think now this legitimately means that Michael Parsons is going to be more exclusive to the edge with Randy Gregory being gone. But then now what do we do at middle linebacker? I know we have Jabril Cox. Leighton Vander Esch is still out there. Do we bring him back? I want him back. Let me know what you guys think, Cowboys fans. I think the window's still open. I think the time to strike is now, because I think the wheels are going to fall off if we don't strike now. If we end up having a bad season, I hate to see where we're going to be at next year. So while we still have the majority of the core together, let's make something happen. The Cowboys have cap room to make some things happen, so we'll see. Let me know, comment below, and let's get into it. Jags fans, we're going in the opposite direction of the Cowboys in terms of what we're doing in free agency. So we made some major moves. We went ahead, and the big name was Brandon Scherff, best guard out there. My only knock on him is he's got some injury issues, but he was the best guard out there. We knew we were going to have to pay the tax to bring him here. We knew we were going to have to pay it. Same thing with anybody. I've repeatedly said we're going to have to overpay players to come to Jacksonville. We're not a free agent destination. Christian Kirk, I love the player. Don't love the contract. I balked at the contract like everybody else. If he serves his 4 years, it could hit $84 million. I didn't like it until you see the way it's structured. Both Scherff and Kirk, I believe, combined for less than $15 million or around $15 million on the cap this year. And the reason that's important is we still have cap space this year to make a move. So while the Cowboys cut La'el Collins, we were reportedly, interested in him in possible trade scenarios. Maybe we can sign him. I would have preferred, just like the Amari Cooper situation, and where I told people and people balked at me saying that the Jaguars need to jump all over the Amari Cooper situation. The reason I needed them to jump on that is it gives us a true number 1 in the third year. It's essentially a 3-year contract. In the third year of a 5-year deal. Whereas after this year, he would have been easy to cut if it didn't work out. And he would have had the incentive to play for another contract. So we would have got a motivated number 1 wide receiver and who's nasty with the routes. And if anybody needs to learn from somebody that's nasty with the routes, it is Laviska Shenault. There's been word that, he's, possibly trade bait. I can't imagine who would want to trade for him right now. I mean, he's a young receiver. I haven't given up on him, but last year was discouraging. I got to wonder what he was doing in the offseason that he hasn't figured out how to run routes. And then his lack of hands last year was alarming. So we bring in Christian Kirk on this $84 million deal, which is essentially a 2-year deal. It works out because he is going to get a good chunk of change. But after the second year, we have an out where we can Scherff as well. After the second year, there will be some dead money, but a lot of the money is being paid within the first 2 years. So after the second year, they have an out where they can cut both players if it's not working out with minimal dead cap. And that's a big deal. Now, Christian Kirk, the one I'm excited about, right, is Evan Ingram. I know a lot of people are down on Evan Ingram, but it's because I think a lot of people haven't watched that Evan Ingram and what's going on with that Giants offense. I think that Giants offense is terrible. I think Evan Ingram is probably the most athletic tight end in the league. And if you saw what Doug Peterson was doing with Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, who don't have remotely an ounce of the athleticism of Evan Ingram, I am hype about this one because give y'all some perspective, because I'm not sure some of you guys know, Doug Peterson is part of the Andy Reid Kansas City tree. Well, Andy Reid tree, coaching tree. And they run a West Coast offense. It's not necessarily predicated on having a traditional X number 1 wide receiver that everybody's looking for us to get, which, mind you, again, lots of wide receivers in this draft. So we do have Marvin Jones still on the roster. We did also sign Zay Jones. The Zay Jones signing, I don't have a problem with. The only thing is, I would have DJ Chark signed for similar money on a prove it deal. I have to think that they offered him something similar, and why that may not make sense to some people. I understand thinking logically that hey, that doesn't make any sense. If you could have signed for that here, why would he go to Detroit of all places? It's because when you're a guy that you've played for a team and that team offers you a prove it deal, some of these guys can feel like they got disrespected and would rather play elsewhere. And I think that might have been a situation here. He was tired of losing here. He's probably going to lose more in Detroit, but you'd rather give somebody else that prove it deal than Jacksonville. He probably feels that we owe him more than that. So, with that being said, I like the moves. I don't love the contracts, but you got to know that you were going to have to overspend. Where Christian Kirk excites me and Evan Ingram excites me is West Coast system. Christian Kirk reminds me of a fastest Jarvis Landry or a Golden Tate, or to a very lesser degree, I'm not saying this guy, he could be a very Wes Welker like wide receiver. I think he's very explosive in and out of breaks. I think he has deceptive long speed so that he can take the top off. And when I say deceptive is, I don't think he times great, in the 40 where he's just going to blow by just anybody. But I think certain people he can lull people to sleep and then blow right past them. That is a quality that he does have. He did catch quite a few long balls for the Arizona Cardinals. And a lot of people are like, well, he didn't have 1,000 yards. Well, he played behind Larry Fitzgerald a lot, and then he played behind DeAndre Hopkins and Fitzgerald and A.J. Green last year. Larry Fitzgerald retired, but my point is he was never the featured receiver. In this system, he's not going to have to run so many stick routes. You're going to see a lot more slants. They're going to be schemed open. I expect big plays from Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. Doug Peterson is a wizard at scheming guys open. Remember DeFilippo for the Jaguars when he was our OC? Our offense, that was probably the most explosive our offense had been in like the last 5 years. Just thinking that. And remember, we didn't have a lot of talent. So keep in mind, now we have guys that can run with the ball and are big time talents that can, do that. Zay Jones, I'm not that impressed with it. Here's a phrase that used to irk me, but I think it applies in this situation. And the phrase is, I think we acquired football players. And what I mean by that is, we've drafted plenty of guys that proven nothing, and look what happened, right? DJ Chark, as much as I love him, he had the one good year, but either got hurt, was inconsistent. Laviska Shenault not running routes well, dropping the ball. The only professional football player I consider we have in the receiving core was Marvin Jones, right? But Marvin Jones isn't a true number one, and when you have guys that ineffective and all they got to do is kill Marvin Jones, it's going to affect him, right? Because he's not a true number one. I want a Marvin Jones. Any offense should want a Marvin Jones. But now you have a Marvin Jones and a Christian Kirk. And these are two guys that they catch the ball. These are professional football players. They know how to run routes, catch the ball, do their job. So that's where things are going to be different. Sure-handed receivers that can make plays. Evan Ingram, the case of the drops, it was real. But I think there's untapped potential there for an explosive athlete. Again, look at what Doug Peterson did with Zach Ertz. And I understand Zach Ertz was a Pro Bowler, but how much was that due to just Zach Ertz's talent? Because he's not super fast or anything like that. I think Evan Ingram has the potential to even be better than that and be a top 5 tight end possibly. I believe in him that much. We also went ahead and signed a linebacker, Foye Oluokun, and I had to look him up, guys. But when you look him up, speed is jarring. It reminds me a lot of Michael Parsons. Not as good as Michael Parsons, just in terms of when you see him get from point A to point B, when he realizes where the ball is, it's like, wow, he like teleported there. And I think it takes a lot of people by surprise. When you look him up, he had 4.4 speed, led the league in tackles with 192 tackles, 4 for a loss, 7 QB hits, 2 sacks, 3 picks, and a forced fumble, just everywhere. Anybody that talks about him says he's a tackling machine, right? So as a result, we ended up cutting Myles Jack, and I'm just going to touch on this real quick, guys. I did a video saying that I challenged Myles Jack to finally take the star turn that we've been waiting for. He didn't take it. It's really simple as that. We're paying a guy like a star that really isn't playing like it. We just signed a kid that had double his tackle total pretty much. So, and he was even outperformed by Damian Wilson. Check the stats out. But anyway, remember to like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think and hit your boy back. Peace.